tufu mu byo
kayikula kugamba ali wakayikula bali babiri wali kayikula wenale mu ne IGP
birabanga abafuzi baffe onfuga gwa
baba minister babeeranga ba house girl ne ba house boy
bagitunda dola 2 ne mutabani wange zayina
bono sera bot ngwabujja kutuga
kumaraga zanyiramu okalagana ne mu 7 obeera mu komere banga lyonna
mwami mbabazi rwa mutuze
abagale y'okuzanya bagenda walala.
You are watching WBS TV.
Good afternoon. Hello, welcome to WBS Afternoon Edition with Anita Mwangazi. It's good to have you with us. United Nations Economic Commission for Africa have called upon member countries to ensure that the framework on land policy is expeditiously handled in order to achieve the goals it set for. This was raised during a 2-day validation conference by East Central Africa and the Eastern Horn of Africa countries, where they want women to be at the forefront on matters relating to the management of land in Africa.
Management of land in most African countries has been predominantly handed to men, which to feminine activists should be changed. The 2-day validation conference for gender strategy on implementation of land policy, high on the agenda was helping member countries to come up with the land agenda. Uganda took advantage to chair this year's conference because of its recently drafted land policy. The member countries from East Africa, Central Africa, and Eastern Horn of Africa now want women to be on the forefront on matters relating to management of land in Africa, since 80% are directly involved in utilization of land.
That we developed a strategy that is supposed to help the land policy initiative to steer the implementation process, to steer other actors in implementation. And that particular strategy has 8 resource areas. One thing we did not do well is to make sure that gender is mainstreamed.
With the support of African Union and United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, the participants say since women constitute 75% of economic development, the member countries need to commit themselves on land management, especially the Africa Declaration on Land Management of 2009, which has to be enforced.
And in adopting the declaration, the member states called on the different departments that manage land to use the framework and guidelines, which we developed through a consultative process in developing their land policies, obviously. So when I say the land policy initiative in the first phase was helping countries to come up with a land agenda and an instrument to support policy implementation.
The acting director land management in the Ministry of Land, Sarah Kulata Basangwa, says the ministry is in the final stages of deregistering land titles in wetlands. She says they've made consultation to have this done, cautioning all encroachers to be mindful of the law.
You may think it's different, but it's not, in the sense that you have a 70% plus a land which is managed under customary systems, just like many other countries. And within those customary systems, you have heterogeneity. It's not homogeneous as a custom. So you have different tribes or different areas that actually have nuances which are quite different from each other. And those complexities have to be reflected in the national land policy.
The member countries are expected to come up with a land agenda to ensure that all land users have equitable access to land and security.
Social media is overtaking traditional media like television, radio and print because of the fact that it is instant and easily accessible by phone, computer, anywhere where someone can access internet. This comes as the country remains in shock after a fake cabinet list posted on Facebook caused cabinet panic, and Parliament in several government agencies were also thrown in panic to clear the Roma. Most people in the political divide remain discussing the fake new cabinet list distributed on Facebook. Despite government dismissing the list, it continues to generate debate. But has Facebook and other social media become that powerful and overtaken other media by storm? Uganda has over 1.6 active Facebook users between the age of 13 to 65 years, and most of these are also on Twitter, Viber, Instagram, WhatsApp. The list is endless. Social media is cheap, instant, with an endless flow of information, aided by the presence of smartphones, Android phones, which make adding images and communication easier and faster. Gerald Businja is a social media trainer at the Department of Journalism and Communication, as well as a consultant in the field.
Still, newspapers, radio, TV have more credibility than these forms of media. The only change is that there are more people right now who access and share information through these social networks. And of course, many times the information you get first is the one you believe. So these social networks are able to provide information much faster and to much more people.
In the recent past, social media has been frowned upon by most Ugandans as a waste of time and a corrupting platform. Now the story has changed, and only yesterday, Parliament was thrust in chaos by a fake new cabinet list, not to mention the pornography crowding the social media. So we wonder, how can the social media be controlled, or does it even need to be controlled?
So it can be free, but when you commit an offense there, let's say you take a video, fake video, you edit it, or you take things that are done in private and really go and start spreading them, I believe really that should be punished. In opposition or in government side, they utilize these newspapers to fight their own battle.
Businja says that people who abuse the social media should be punished, and likens it to a road that is used by travelers, but each with a different destination in mind.
The personal problem, not the media itself. The media is the medium, it's like a road. You can use it to drive to the market, take your product. You can use it to go and kill someone. So when you say ban the road, you're not doing the right thing. It's better you take efforts to stop people from using, to stop people having that kind of time and effort to use the media to spread bad content.
The social media, while a fountain of information, remains an uncontrollable double-edged sword. To business, experts in agriculture are calling on government to heavily invest in the young population in the sector of agriculture and make it a business venture that can be embraced by many Ugandans. The experts also call on government to reverse issuance of investment licensing to foreigners into the agriculture sector and instead empower Ugandans to fully embrace the sector for more exports.
In a conference bringing together religious leaders, former policymakers in agriculture, and active players in the sector, those in Uganda's agribusiness venture believe that the sector has an enormous potential to generate income for all Ugandans. Patrick Iga, the Chief Executive Office of Farming Consultant Management, is of the view that majority senior 4, 6, and graduates are the potential money makers for Uganda if supported into agribusiness.
Agribusiness can employ 80% of Uganda population. From number 1, going to the farm digging, that is number 1. To the marketplace, number 2. To the value addition, that is all farming. To the farming, almost 30% or 50% can be employed into farming by digging and planting. And then the left 50%, 25% can be employed to marketing. And then the left one can be employed to the value addition.
The experts have started a free agro-skilling empowerment program that targets to make young Ugandan population and agriculture population dealing with the entire chain from production to consumption.
80% of the commodities in the supermarket and the superstore, these are farm products. It's just they have just added the value on them.
It is at this conference that former Minister for Agriculture Victoria Sekitoreko called on government to reverse its decision to allow foreign investors interested in agriculture into Uganda. In her view, agriculture being a key economic contributor to Uganda, Ugandans should be the producers and the exporters of agricultural produce.
I was shocked when I found that foreigners can now buy rural land in Uganda. I was shocked. I have not even yet recovered from it. What I would love to do is to encourage every Ugandan, especially everybody who is saying they can't find jobs. There are jobs in agriculture. Those are inexhaustible. Let Ugandans invest in the whole value chain of agriculture.
Most Ugandans in farming are small-scale holders who produce for domestic consumption, with a few producing for the local market. The low production is as a result of lack of mechanization and high capital required for farm inputs. Kenneth Bwire, WBS Business.
Elsewhere, a rising number of women have experienced sexual violence since the Central African Republic CAR descended into a spiral of sectarian conflicts in 2013. Many are left with lifelong trauma. But the humanitarian group Doctors Without Borders have opened centers for rape victims to give care and psychological support in several locations in the capital, Bangui. Emily Iobi has more on the effort for VOA News.
This young woman came in time. She was raped less than 72 hours ago, so she still has a chance to be given treatment to prevent HIV/AIDS and an unwanted pregnancy. But nurse Sylvie Gonekra says most women come much later after their assault.
For women in the Central African Republic, a rape is shameful, so they don't want to talk about it. So sometimes women are raped but don't come to the hospital. They remain in their neighborhood sad and alone. They shut themselves in.
Data on sexual violence in the CAR is scarce, while the need for help for women is great. It has been nearly 2 years since a coup sparked a bloody sectarian conflict. An interim government and international peacekeepers are working to restore some order, but violence continues. To try to begin to address the trauma, Doctors Without Borders, also known by its French acronym MSF, opened a facility in July in the capital to deal with both the medical and the psychological needs of rape victims. In the last 5 months, they have received more than 500 victims. They have since opened the second center in Bangui as a radio and poster awareness campaign reaches more people needing help. Counselors says the first step is to let people talk about their trauma, like this woman.
I think about my husband all the time. He ran away from the house as the Seleka stormed the town and killed the men. I haven't heard of him in a year. I think he's dead by now.
To reassure, to calm, and to listen. But before that can happen, psychologist Roselyne Menon says the first challenge is to help victims understand what a psychologist is in a country where this is not commonplace.
There's no training to become a psychologist here. They merely do not exist. I'm here to make them understand that there are visible wounds on the body, but also invisible ones inside the head.
Menon says she sees women of all ages, sometimes children and a few men. The victims are marginalized by the stigma of rape and they have no one to talk to. Denise, not her real name, has been coming for counseling for 2 weeks and she says it is helping.
After I was assaulted, my husband rejected me. I was totally devastated. And Rosalind gave me good advice. She said it wasn't my fault, that I didn't break my marriage promise to be faithful by being raped.
Aside from individual consultations, MSF has put in place a support group for victims to share their experiences with each other.
One of the good things about this support group is that the women, they are all victims of sexual violence, could get together and talk, and they all told me. I thought I was alone.
There are currently only 2 rape counseling centers in the country, both run by MSF in Bangui.
WBS Afternoon Edition continues shortly. Do stay with us.
When passion, every terrain can be a road. And every terrain
Welcome back to Wbs Afternoon Edition to the sporting world. As fans across Africa wait with bated breath for the penultimate match of the Africa Cup of Nations on the 7th of February 2015, Somalia's top football clubs are looking around the continent for players and coaches that could help revamp its own homegrown leagues. It's the first match of the new season in Somalia's Nation Link Telecom Championship. The fans, players and officials alike have been waiting for the hotly contested Premier League to kick off so that its 10 clubs can vie for a year's worth of bragging rights and sponsorship deals. A well-maintained pitch, orderly fans, competent officials and professional players in spanking new kits are not scenes most people expect to see when they visit Mogadishu, Somalia's seaside capital.
People, they are thinking is a war country. They are thinking there is no stability. They are thinking there is no and good government like that. That's what they think. But that's not position for the political side. But my position, Somalia, there is something beautiful as you have seen now. Please come enjoy with us. Encourage the young players and the young generation.
I believe the outside world will also see that Somalia is a safe place to play football. It's a safe place to also do business and a safe place to all that come for tourism. So yes, it's a good thing to be here. Yeah, it's a good thing to be here, and I also want other people out there to know that Somalia is a safe place. They can come and improve the football. Yeah, it's still growing. But the more people come, the more they get to understand that football is something that brings people together. Things will change and their football will go higher by the day.
Now, with just a week away to the kickoff of the second round of the Azam Uganda Premier League, big league clubs hold top-flight clubs to score draws as they prepare for the second round. In a match played at Nambole Stadium, the St. Hold Sports Club Victoria University a 1-1 draw as Moron FC held Sports Club Villa at Nachivubo Stadium to a 3-3 draw.
Though it wasn't much impressive on the field, Sports Club Victoria University scored the first goal in the first 5 minutes of the game and held to it up to the end of the first 5 minutes. On return for the second half, Victoria University tried to attack but had no conversion into the net, as Saints equalized in the last quarter of the second half. Both teams tried their luck in the dying minutes, but in vain. The game played at Nachivubo Stadium. 6-time league champions SC Villa have been held by Maroons FC to a 3-3 draw. Stephen Bengo entered for Villa first, then Nasa Chitagenda equalized for the visitors minutes after, to end the first half at 1-1. On return, both teams seemed composed that they both got 2 goals each in the last half of the play. At Kachin Stadium, Jinja Municipal beat Bull FC 2-1 as Ivan Ubale pulled one back for Bull in 85 minutes. Frank Silgu, WSTV, Kampala.
Well, that's all we had for you this WBS Afternoon Edition. I am Anita Mwangazi. Enjoy your weekend.
Up next on WBS TV.